in the session. I am your MC today, Wei Wenyuan. It's my honor to be part of the event. The theme for the session is really unique. We're going to be talking about experiencing the future, collaborating technologies, and creative minds. So we will be focused on the formats and styles of contents in the future. With the enablement of technologies, we are able to see a lot of new possibilities. However, how do we address the markets in the future and collaborate with the people from various disciplines? So we have to think about it in a strategic manner. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to the moderator of the session, Mr. Po-Wei Wong, Artistic Director of Digital Art Foundation. Mr. Wong, please. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am Po-Wei. It's my honor and privilege to take part in the event. The theme of the session is experiencing the future, collaborating technologies, and creative minds. If you notice, in our event this year, much of the focus goes on to a theme, which is a Metaverse. From the previous sessions, you probably already had some ideas about Metaverse, which is a gate to the future universe. So we are at the beginning of the new universe. As discussed in the previous session, things like 5G, cloud computing, and related technologies. These technologies open the door to the future. So at the beginning of the process, if we only had these technologies and the structure without content, that would be a very poor universe or a very poor metaverse, which is why today we have 4 important discussants in the area of creative content to talk to us about content, to shed light on this topic. We also look forward to their experience sharing and how they look at the future. Because of the pandemic, our foreign speakers are not able to join us physically here in Taiwan. So one of our speakers, Joanna, who is not able to join us here, which is why she recorded a video. So we are going to first watch Joanna's video. And then the rest of the 3 speakers, Anthony will address us via the teleconferencing system, and Mr. Ling and Mr. Babu will then have a discussion together with Mr. Anthony Carden. Without further ado, let's first watch the video of Joanna.
I am the global head of VR for go-to-market at HP. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. I wish I could be there live with you. The last time I was in Taiwan was about 2 years ago, and I'm so looking forward to coming again, hopefully in the very near future. So I was asked to speak to you about a few things today. So I'm going to talk to you about 4 different things. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about HP. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Metaverse. I'm going to talk about some content projects that I executive produced in the VR and AR Metaverse world. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about HP virtual reality technology and how to get involved with working with us. So first, let's talk a little bit about HP. So many of you may know HP and who we are in the world. HP has been around for over 80 years. We're known as the first Silicon Valley company. We were founded by 2 founders in a garage creating technology for Walt Disney for the movie Fantasia. So ever since then, HP's been focused on inventing and reinventing technology and has a long, long, beautiful legacy, both in the technology space as well as the media space. And hopefully working with many creators like yourselves out there, maybe the next Walt Disney is out there creating amazing technology and storytelling through innovation. So that is who HP is. And now we'll talk a little bit about the metaverse. And so there's lots of different definitions that are floating around these days. One recent one that I saw, it's from my friend, Tony Parisi. Tony Parisi is one of the OGs, the original gangsters of the virtual reality and 3D space. He's at Unity. And so he says in a blog that was just published, I think last week, there are 7 rules of the metaverse. And what are those rules? First rule, there is only one metaverse, so no metaverses. There's one metaverse. 2, the metaverse is for everyone. 3, nobody controls the metaverse. 4, the metaverse is open. 5, the metaverse is hardware independent. 6, the metaverse is a network. And 7, the metaverse is the internet. So really interesting rules here. Interesting to think about which one applies. Do you agree with these all? I think that, this is a great place to start this conversation of what is the metaverse? How does content interact with it? And what are we all doing? And how are we continuing to grow the metaverse together? Another vision of the metaverse is a new economy. It's a new economy based on digital experiences from end to end. That's another interesting definition, and thinking about how the content you're creating, the technology you're creating, how does it interact? And what kind of economy is it building? Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some content experiences that I executive produced in the augmented reality and virtual reality world. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is called Brianna's Garden. Brianna's Garden premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival this year. It was created by Lady Phoenix and Sutu with the family of Breonna Taylor. So Breonna Taylor sadly lost her life last year in the United States. And this was a project created to honor her life, to help people heal, and to continue to say the Breonna Taylor's name around the world. And so we created this experience by doing volumetric capture at Metastage of Brianna's sister, Janaya. So it then lived in an augmented reality experience on your telephone. We worked with partners, Metastage, Unity, Microsoft, Echo VR, and I was an executive producer on this project. And so the experience, if you can actually download it on your phone and have the experience anywhere you are around the world. But in the experience that we did, we created an installation full of flowers and butterflies and things that Brianna loved. So when you entered the experience, you were surrounded by flowers. And if you saw a video of from Brianna's mother talking about Brianna's life and showing visuals of her life. You then were greeted by the volumetric capture of Janaya, talking to you about memories of her sister, and then you saw a recreation of Brianna built in game engine in Unity. So you saw Janaya and Brianna together again. Then next thing you listened, and each flower had a message for you, and those were messages that other people left. So using spatial audio, you could hear messages that other people left for Brianna and her family, or for somebody that they had lost in their own life. And then the last part, you could leave your own message and connect with this family, or connect with somebody whose loss you were grieving. So there's a lot of really interesting things about this project to me. So, it got a lot of buzz, a lot of attention at Tribeca, probably one of the pieces with the most attention on it at Tribeca. And people, we had an inside space with garden, and then we had an outside space just in the park. And people came by and listened and created and interacted and took pictures of themselves with Brianna. And one of the most moving things about the whole experience was we did a panel, and Brianna's sister Janaya said for her, it was a place where she could go and be together with her sister again. She felt like it was a place where she could reconnect and be with her sister who had passed on and wasn't in this world anymore. And for me, I think that is a really interesting content experience inside the metaverse, where somebody who's still with us on this earth today feels like they're able to reconnect and be together with somebody who's passed on, and that this technology, this augmented reality world, this built on top of the game engine with the volumetric capture, provided that for her. Now, we know somebody like Prince, the artist, wouldn't have wanted that, but it brings this question of, how do we use this technology to heal? How do we use this technology for good? How do we use this technology to keep saying somebody's name who's passed on and let their legacy continue and help bring justice? That was a very, very fulfilling project that I worked on, and I think that it really depicts some of the possibilities of things you can do with augmented reality, with XR, and with the metaverse. The next project I'm going to share about is called Finding Pandora X. Finding Pandora X premiered at the Venice Film Festival last year, as well as the South by Southwest Film Festival, and won awards at both places, Best VR at Venice and Audience Award at South by. I had the honor to be an executive producer on this project that was created by Double I Studios and Kira Benzing. This project is a live, interactive, virtual reality live theater actors experience inside VR chat. It is based on Greek mythology, the story of finding Pandora X, in which live actors take you on an interactive branching narrative journey. So this was a really exciting project. Last year, the expression, all the world's a stage, came true, where you had VR, you had actors popping up in VR all around the world, putting on a headset, plugging it into a computer, and offering amazing live interactive theater. And audiences all around the world got into a headset, came into VR chat, and experienced the beauty of this original format and original content. We're so excited to be part of it. You can see in the top right, you have an actor acting on their own, and then what the avatar looks like below. So this was very exciting, a new form of merging theater, live actors doing their own technology support. We had the stage managers, we had lighting directors all coming together to make this great piece of work. And we were so thrilled that the audiences loved it, the critics loved it, and it won so many awards. And I won't tell you more about the story because it is still premiering. You can still see it. If you go to the if you go to Finding Pandora X, if you go to Double I Studios website, you can find when the next showings are. Hop into a headset anywhere around the world, hop into VR chat, and experience it for yourself. It was a great project, and I really recommend that everyone go and check it out. Next, I'm going to talk about why we're seeing so much growth in virtual reality right now. We're seeing people connecting, creating, collaborating, and learning in these new immersive technologies like never before. All of the platforms are seeing record-breaking highs since last year and coming into this year. We're seeing people create using 3D and virtual reality more than ever. Businesses are saying if you're just bringing your employees a workstation, a keyboard, a mouse, and a screen, but not VR, you are preventing them from achieving their full productivity and hobbling your workforce, and nobody wants that. We're seeing businesses and schools use VR to learn and to collaborate like never before. So it's an evolving landscape, and it's an accelerating landscape. And so at HP, we have 2 new head-mounted displays, 2 VR headsets that we've launched into this market during this last year. The first one is a collaboration between HP and Microsoft and Valve. Our 4th headset with Microsoft, our first one with Valve, and we're incredibly honored and happy to be working with them. The HP Reverb G2 is a very high-resolution headset with great lenses created together with Valve, 2160 by 2160 per eye. Great audio from Valve, very lightweight and comfortable. And this headset's been embraced by gamers and businesses alike. And then we built a new headset that we just launched in the last few months called the HP Reverb G2 Omniscient Edition. What this does is it adds to that same great hardware and adds eye tracking, pupillometry, face tracking, and heart rate sensor, so that the information from the headset isn't just one way from the headset to you, but your information, your personalization, your customization goes back to this headset. And so the headset, so we have the hardware side of it, we have the software side with a cognitive load software package that we're building out that developers are using to customize and personalize their experiences with you. Cognitive load helps understand where is that Goldilocks point of view in learning. And so learning and development and training especially is embracing this new headset. There's lots of developers out there building for it, and really exciting new software and applications such as Ovation, Thea, Nimbus, Pixo, and many more, developing unique customized solutions for this headset. Both of these headsets have won a ton of awards. The Red Dot Best of the Best to the Omniscient Edition, CS Awards, Design Awards, and many more. So I'm going to share a video about the Reverb G2. This headset, we actually just did some additional improvements to make it further customizable, adaptable, flexible, and just all around great. So that award-winning headset keeps getting better. And then now moving on to the Reverb Omniscient Edition, here is a video about it.
Introducing HP Omniscient, an intelligent XR platform that completely changes the dynamic of how humans interact with technology. Sensors in the headset monitor muscle movement, heart rate, pupil size, and gaze to capture the levels of brain power exerted. Now, users' natural responses drive their experiences in the moment. By combining sensor data with machine learning, software developers get real-time insights to tailor XR experiences for faster and better outcomes. Across industries, HP Omniscient is powering advanced XR solutions that can adapt to each user. Redefining how we train, improve well-being, create, and collaborate. HP Omniscient-powered apps help ensure the capture and transfer of data comply with GDPR and keep user data confidential. Groundbreaking hardware meets transformative software. This is HP Omniscient, a revolution in XR.
So as I said, both of these headsets are available now. The HP Reverb G2 is for consumers and businesses. We see lots of gamers and lots of businesses using it to have that great, crisp, clear, great audio, comfortable, and very compatible experience. And then the HP Omniscient solution is for developers and enterprises who want to build out that extra layer of customization using biometrics for their experiences. So at HP, we say we have the world's most comprehensive VR portfolio. We have a variety of headsets that we just shared. We have the VR backpacks, we have workstations, and much, much more. We would love to work with you. I'm in the US. Here is my email. There's my WeChat in case you're using WeChat. We also have Simon Hung. He's the VR lead. He is located in Taiwan. His email is here as well. We're very excited to be working with you to help you build out your content, to work with you on the best technology possible, to collaborate, to connect, to learn, and create with you, so that we all work together to create this future, to create this metaverse, and to build and succeed together. So thank you so much for the invitation to this fantastic conference. I hope that I'm able to come and be there live with you next time. And I look forward to talking with you more and working together. Thank you so much for the invitation.
好，所以大家透过刚刚的影片。
With this pre-recorded presentation, we can see that in the metaverse, we can not only dress ourselves in in attires that we can never think of. It is also at the same time can bring healing power. So in this session, we are going to talk about collaborating technologies and creative minds. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our moderator and the panelists to the stage. We also have our panelists joining us online. So we will actually begin the session by taking a group photo together. So right here on site, our panelists and moderator can actually take off their face masks. So let's take a photo together now. So Mr. Antoine Cardin is also projected on the big screen right here. So please look straight into the camera so that we can take a group photo.
别忘了我们荧幕里面还有另外。
So keep looking into your camera. We're still taking the photo now.
好，那我们的论坛就正式。
Thank you very much. Now we are ready to begin our session now. So our moderator, Mr. Wong, please. Thank you. We have heard from Joanna, a very impressive presentation as an introduction to our section. She has introduced to us some of the projects that HP has engaged in and also some of the headset device technologies that HP now has. We are now ready to begin our panel right now. Creative content is a very important appeal to attract people to the metaverse. Here on site, and also online, we have 3 representatives from our industry who are very experienced in this matter. We have Antoine Cardin, Joseph Lin, and Babu Liao. I would actually like to start by asking themselves to introduce themselves to our audience and maybe some of the projects that have been involved in, some of the contents that they have developed. So Antoine, please, you first.
So, hello everyone, I'm Antoine, I'm a founder of a company named El Gabal and also a producer of virtual reality content. I started VR almost 25 years ago now, because VR is an old story actually, and I did produce 250 different VR projects, mostly 360 video, and since 4 years now, with my associates, we invented a new format that mixes immersive theater with VR, and we have produced 3 shows.
好，那是不是麻烦 Joseph？
Thank you so much. If I may ask Joseph. Hi, I am Joseph. I am from HTC. My department is content and creativity. When you think about HTC, the first thing that comes to your mind probably is about our cell phones and hardware. However, HTC starting from day one, is involved in content creation. And we're very fortunate to be able to be part of the process. And I am also a director of VR Share, which is a well-known community. And I'd like to thank the organizer for its kind invitation so that I get to share with you my experience. Hi, everyone. I am Babu. I think I will be here addressing the part of creative minds. My background is theater, and I run a group which is called Shakespeare's Wild Sisters. Last year, due to various reasons, I began to work with VR, a new art format. So last year, I did my very first VR project. And next year, I will work on my second VR project, and it'll be premiered in Kaohsiung Films Festival. And I'm already planning for the third VR project in my head already. I have to say that I'm not probably a 100% VR supporter. In my VR creation process, I have always been questioning the process and VR. And lots of the starting point of my projects are about questioning VR's role and what VR can bring to us or what VR can do for us. So in this creation process, I've been asking myself, why do I use the modality of VR to create? In the art community or in the creative content industry, we do have a lot of artists, just like Babu, who would like to make breakthroughs, to break the boundaries, to create something new and lead us to the new era of creative content. And it is exactly because of that, with different cultures and in different markets and different content industries, the landscapes are very different. So if I may ask our three discussants to give us some insight about your experience in different markets. Maybe we can start with Antoine. Your views about the European market or the global market in terms of creative content industry. Over to you, Antoine.
Yes, so we have developed content that has been showcased all over the world, and it's true that there is some, let's say, cultural differences and some expectation and way of handling content which are different in the different markets. But I think that is something which is changing very rapidly. People from my generation, we had our culture which was very different in different countries. I think that young people now, they share the same culture all over the world, and there is no even the concept of a border of different markets is strange for them, because they are thinking everything globally. You know, they watch the same videos, they connect together very easily, even if they are very far away and from different culture. So I think that this is changing very rapidly.
那不
What about Joseph? What's your observations? Two examples. In the past, in our collaborations with Europe, we had a lot of partnerships in art galleries, museums, and film festivals. Europe is very artistic, and they have made a lot of contributions in art. We worked with the Kings and the Louvre or VMA in the UK. We have been thinking about a topic which is related to our topic today, which is a Metaverse. The first thing that you think about is virtual reality, and then there has to be a headset. However, when you enter this new internet era, internet is hardware independent, and there's no boundary in the internet. So how do we enable more people to come to this new world? Over the past few years, with the rapid development of VR devices and VR technologies, so in order for us to provide immersive experience, we definitely need a piece of a device, and we definitely need good content in order to facilitate such a good experience. This year, we're starting a bold attempt. We work with Japanese artists to showcase our artworks. So do we need to have this VR headset in order for us to showcase the artwork, or are we able to do so without that device? So basically, we're trying to see if we're able to achieve that through this cat art project. And the feedback that we got from Japan yesterday was that, hey, the ticket sales was very good, but we didn't do much. But then suddenly we got a big buzz. Then we looked on Google. We found that there's a magazine or a newspaper in Japan. And on that newspaper, we didn't pay anything. But the magazine just found us or found our project interesting. And lots of parents would like to have their children to have a look at our project. So the magazine did a feature story on us. That is why we got a very good ticket sales. That's really inspiring because if there's good experience and good content, they don't necessarily require special equipment. We can offer options, of course, but better content is able to should be able to be accessed in a very easy manner, which does not require devices or equipment. I remember when I visited the cat art gallery, I sort of became a docent. I began to teach people how to use the buttons or the devices. So I kind of was like a tour guide, interacting with the people from various parts of the world. That was really interesting. Like Joseph mentioned earlier, for me, over the past few years, when I make observations either in Taiwan or in Asia about the VR content, or when I look at the VR directors or content, one of the interesting phenomenon that is unique to Taiwan is that a lot of Taiwanese directors would have a mind tour going to the underworld. So it's kind of like you putting on your head devices, and then that device takes you to a different world. So there are a lot of cultural transformations that will happen in the process. So a question for Babu. In your VR creation process, or when you're watching VR videos, you probably have already watched a lot. So if you could share with us some of your observations. If I may show my slide deck, please. Oh, it's right behind me. Thank you. This year, I have the honor to be invited by Kaohsiung Movie Festival to be on the panel of judges for VR content. Interestingly enough, I watched 21 different genres of videos in different genres using different VR approaches. My observation is that in the past, we thought that in the world of VR, the creators are tasked to bring eye-opening content to the viewers. But over the years, we began to see that more and more creators are now able to use VR as a means or as a platform for them to tell their stories. So my focus today is that in this judgment process, I watched quite a few wonderful pieces of VR videos that were actually able to tell their stories using VR platform. So if you watched the VR videos lately, or if you were part of the Kaohsiung Film Festival, or if you are involved in one way or another, you probably remember this Jakarta story. So the reason why this piece of creation requires a VR, this one is called replacements. The theme of the video is about where the video is going to take us to. So VR is a very important modality. We are creating together using VR or defining what VR is. So replacements is very interesting. It's unlike the stories that we watched before. So all the things or all the information is being sent through these visuals. But in replacements, basically your perspective is anchored using Google Map. And the 360 sceneries are changing using animations. So the director uses this approach to tell his or her story, to let us know the environmental changes of Jakarta, cultural issues, religious issues, and environmental protection. So that's the storyline of replacements. And this brings us to a different level. So VR is just not, it's not just about its technologies. It's all about how VR empowers the story or empowers the content. For this one, this is a award-winning work in Kaohsiung Film Festival. When we watch this video, we mobilize a lot of our senses. This work is Marco and Polo Go Round. So very interestingly, this work, the non-gravity environment is being created. So people are kind of floating in this environment to illustrate the idea that the relationship between the characters is sort of thrown off balance, losing its ground or losing its gravity. This is another one, and I really like this one. This one did not win any award, which is unfortunate. But in that experience, half of the time, nothing in particular happened. This work is called Hush. It's kind of like when you put on the helmet, lots of things should happen. That's your expectation, right? But everything in Hush is anti-intuitive. You would start wonder, what did I miss? Or should these things move around me or change around me? Why is not changing, or why are they not moving? So these are the three works that I would like to share using this opportunity. Thank you so much, Babu, for the kind sharing. What you mentioned is really interesting. So when we get into the world of VR, we have this preconceived notion that, hey, this is a VR world. There has to be a lot happening or a lot going on at the same time. Or you can wander around in the VR world, and this is a very rich world full of a lot of things and elements. But I think what the artists are trying to do here is to throw you something that you did not expect. So in terms of art creation or content creation, sometimes it's not just about how you create images using VR technologies. It also reflects the development of hardware and devices. So I am quite curious for all three of you, in terms of VR, XR, or AR, regarding the development of hardware or software or content creation. What are your observations, and what is the trend that you have identified in the process? If I may ask Antoine to start first, because you were involved in the XR creation process. So in terms of the senses or sensors versus VR or images, what is the trend that you identify in your creation process? Over to you, Antoine.
Okay, so the format that we invented, XR Theater, is a format that we were playing live, and where the physical elements were very important. The thing that we are trying to create is this illusion for the brain that what happens in virtual reality feels that it's reality. And this is possible because of something that is called by neuroscientists embodiment, which is the fact that your brain accepts your virtual body as your real body. And this is very interesting because it's the cornerstone to be able to change storytelling into story living. So instead of being a passive spectator or a third-person game player, you really become the person in its body which interact with the story. And that's very important in all of our work. Since 1 year now, we are trying to develop a solution so that the same kind of embodiment is also possible remotely. So you don't have to go in a location, you don't need physical elements to create this embodiment. The idea is really that in the future, and Joanna showcased this with their Omniscept headset, we would like that we can interact as naturally as possible inside the virtual space, which means that we need to be able to reconstruct our body, the way it moves, the expression of our face, maybe even as they do with the HP G2, the heartbeats and this kind of elements allows to create very sensible interaction between humans. And I think that is the biggest trend. For example, in proto-metaverses, so what I call proto-metaverses with a S, it's all those proprietary platform, which are like kind of a beginning of metaverse without S, but they are proprietary platform. They are not open, so they don't fulfill the definition that Joanna told us, which is a very interesting one. In those proto-metaverse, more and more people are, taking some bits of technology, doing some hacking to be able to have their body movements inside of VR, their full body movements. Some people, HTC, for example, has a piece of device that you can put on your headset, which allows you to get your facial expression. All this, it's the target is to be able to build those very sensible social interactions inside of virtual reality environments. And not just with a VR headset, it can also work on any device. And I think that's very important so that we can reach as many people as possible.
Antoine mentioned about HTC and HTC's efforts. So I would now go to Mr. Joseph Lin in terms of the trends in XR software, hardware, and content development. This is a very interesting topic. Ready Player One. This is probably one of the most famous movies about Metaverse. And actually, Steven Spielberg used Vive headsets to conduct the shooting of this movie. So for XR, we started with these headsets where creators can think about new formats. And then later, we published Vive Tracker, HTC Vive Tracker. So it could do full body tracking. It is actually very difficult for most people to do full body tracking, but we use this device to do full body tracking to make it very accessible and easy. And that is why in Japan, this has become a very big hit. A lot of dancing clubs actually use this full body tracking device. We can also further upgrade to eye tracking, lip tracking, different input methods and modules. We want to open all these options to creators because creators have a lot of imagination that goes beyond our imagination. So if we can provide these options, it will liberate their imagination. We work with a European collaborator where they have a space in a playground, and you can pay the ticket for about $20, and then you can go into this location to have a location-based XR experience. Right now, a lot of movies are filmed and shot with green backgrounds. However, actors and actresses can be very disengaged because of these green screen. Now we have methods and technology where we could actually use VR or extended reality in a film set. So it could help creators, for example, movie directors and actors and actresses, to immediately see the results of their actions. And participants can also interact with the story in their own way. So with these options, you can still choose to be a passive spectator, but you can also be an active participant if you want to. So all these tools are liberating the content creators and also the users of these XR content. I would like to now go to Babu. Last year, I saw your production, and you actually worked with a government-funded institution here in Taiwan to develop that VR theater. It then was screened in Kaohsiung Film Festival. So what's your take on the interaction between VR, XR, and the theater? Let's go back to my presentation slide. So let me come back to the work that I've been working on during the past 2 years. So when I think about VR and XR and its interaction with the theater, so last year I worked on this VR project. At that time, I knew nothing about VR. It was a limitation, of course, because I was clueless, but at the same time, it also means that I'm very free, that I can imagine and think about it in any way possible. So this has to do with my background as well. I was born in the 1970s, and so at that time, there was no internet, there was no mobile phones, there was no social media. They gradually appeared later in my adult life. So I'm sort of in between the traditional and the modern technology. So talking about the use of technology, I am not, the so-called digital native, and we are sort of pushed to use these technologies, but so in the process, we are confused about some of these technologies from time to time. So while I want to use these technologies and keep up with the trend, but at the same time, I'm still confused and still bothered by the idea that maybe it's not as rosy as it sounds. So this project that I created called Chroma, a direct German project, what I was trying to do was, first of all, was to break the illusion created in a 3D world. So when my audience entered into this world, they would feel that all of a sudden, the sense of their bodies have stopped, feeling or sensing the environment. So we would create a 3D model where you would enter and see this 3D model, and all of a sudden it would be turned into a 2D model. So your body will tell you to stop when you hit this sudden conversion. So what we are trying to say with this is that sometimes we rely on technology. We believe, we are confident that technology can help us overcome all sorts of difficulties, but at the same time, technology has its limitation. So we wanted the audience to know that, the 3D world that they entered into was created by an engineer. And I don't know if you know about the pass-through function. So in your headset, there is a camera, And when you turn on this camera, you can actually see the environment outside of you, surrounding you, the real environment you're in. So there were 2 excerpts in my project where the audience can see the environment inside the headset, but also outside of the headset using the pass-through function. So they would see their own body and the space that is distorted. There's a well-known British director who said that the world that he saw was twisted after he got infected with HIV/AIDS. This is another project of mine that I'm working on, and this is something that I will work on actually next year, so I'm still preparing for it. Most of the time when people talk about VR, we talk about 360. But what I'm trying to do with this one, Father's videotape, is where I want to create very limited visibility. Maybe it's 180. It's not 360, it's 180 or even 50 degrees of vision. So this is something very interesting. When you put on the headset, you realize that actually your visibility, the range of your visibility is limited, and you have to try to navigate in this 3D world with this very limited range of vision. So I think in this process, I'm trying to think about the characteristics of VR and to think about what I can make my content very different in this environment. Thank you. So most of the VR content that I have seen so far involves, a single person looking at a world, at a VR world. You put on the headset, you are in this VR world, and you are separated with the real world that you are in. But both Antoine and Joseph, you have experiences creating VR content. So what I'm curious about is, in your work, what's your idea or imagination about, massive interactive live event on VR? So when you look into the future, what type of massive interactive live event that would be made possible in the world of VR, where there are massive or multiple users who are live on VR? Antoine, please.
Yes, so our first project that involved a physical space, we had 1 live actor and only 1 spectator. And the second project that we did, we had 3 live actors and 10 spectators. It was also in a physical space. Now we are doing a project called Bedland that you can see at TCCF. You can see a glimpse of it at TCCF. We have an experience where we have 10 spectators and 1 actor. And this brings very interesting tools to build narrative and storytelling, because when you deal with a group, it's when you have a dynamic of a group, it's completely different. So our first component, which is very important, is that we always have live acting that interacts with the spectators. Live actor interact with the spectators. We have worked on a project with Sony on a IP which is Men in Black, where we had 500 people at the same time inside of the same space. So this is something which is possible technically. It is something which is very appealing as a storyteller, and this is something that prefigures what will happen in the metaverse, because the idea of the metaverse is that everyone, like everyone that is on internet right now, everyone will be on the metaverse. So those worlds, those universes that we will be able to experience inside of the metaverse will be highly populated. And we are trying to find out now what are the narrative formats that will work. So of course there are, like the live event, like concerts and conferences, museums, virtual museums, that are experiences that you can do with a massive number of people, and that will work. Right now, we are focusing on more intimate experiences where each spectator has really a highly personalized experience with the other spectators and also with the authors. So I think that that's really a very interesting field that we are at the beginning. Technology and infrastructure is really at its early stage. For example, for Bedlam, we had to build a complete solution because there was none existing that could fulfill our purposes, which was very high quality renderings, ultra realistic avatars, the social part, so that everyone can access universally without having to install anything on their computer or mobile device or VR headsets, and that it doesn't require any powerful equipment, hardware with a high-end GPU and CPU. So we had to build this solution. And so it's really the beginning. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to work with Taiwan, and we are extremely motivated to work with Taiwan. It's because in Taiwan there is all the components required to be able to build this platform, which is at the same time consumer electronic, at the same time infrastructure equipment, routers, servers, 5G, and so on. And all this is required to be able to create the next-gen contents.
Thank you. If I may ask about your personal experience, a couple of use scenarios. Last month, we had a project working with the Yokohama government of Japan, which was a conference on smart city. That was an interesting experience. It was a multinational city forum. So all the participants from various countries need to be involved, and multiple booths need to be visited in order to introduce what they have to offer. So they were thinking about how do we achieve that in the conference without having to be in the conference physically. Some of the participants were actually older in age, so it would be challenging for them to put on their VR headsets and then operate the device. So they're asking if we could just have a web page so that we are able to do that on the web page. It was a successful experience where more than 80 countries in the world are involved. Through the cell phone and VR headsets, we're able to achieve that. Metaverse basically is an extension of a VR. And when you think about VR, you always think about the hardware. But actually, it's an extension of a hardware device to expand to humanity. So one of the things that we have been discussing with the VR Kit is should we give users better experience, or should we make the experience more accessible? Lots of people may ask, why don't you launch a mobile phone app? However, if you were to enter this virtual world using your cell phone, which is a very small device, this is actually quite inconvenient. In a way, it would actually annoy you. And give you the opposite of what we would like you to experience. So sometimes we think about the benefits of the technologies, and on different carriers or on different experiences. Of course, we would like to enable multiple people interact with each other, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to do the same things. They can be doing different things, and then you can use a live chat or video call. And in VR, it's more immersive. So in terms of the interaction of multi-players or multi-people or multiple people, basically it's going to be a hard demand, because that fits what humanity is all about, instead of imposing some experience onto the users. What about Babu? Because of time, Joseph will have to leave in order for him to attend the next meeting. So, but we will stay and continue. So for Babu, I think you have a slightly different approach than the rest of us. Yes, in terms of multi-players, I first think about the role of the spectators. Because of my background in theaters, I always believe that the audience is a part of the theater. The audience is one of the elements of the theater, and the audience, starting from the ancient Greek theaters, is always a part of the theater. Without the audience, there's no theater. So it's not a new concept. When you watch a show, I think it's more about the level of immersion. For example, when you are sitting in the audience, you watch the show. You cry with the actors, you laugh with the actors. I read a book called Participatory Age. So in the 19th century, that's the time of the playwrights. The 20th century is the time of the directors. However, in the 21st century, it's the era or the time of the spectators. So it's one of the keys that we do in theaters, from traditional theaters all the way to VR. And in terms of multiple players, what I think about here is the role of the audience. Please roll my deck again. So here, this year, I saw two interesting cases. For example, for this one, Welcome to the Midnight of Paris, there's a lot of immersions. And what's more important is that in terms of a metaverse or virtual space, we together are joined together to do something. So basically, this is a dancing party packaged with musicals. So we get to choose, pick and choose our costumes. We get to pick and choose our roles, and everybody gather together in this virtual space to dance together. And this is a participatory type of ballroom dancing kind of experience. So multiple people joining together at the same time, doing the same thing. So in the future, this could happen in the theaters. Another thing is that what's unique about the VR is that it's about your point of view, how you embody that role. So when you put on your VR headset, who are you? What is your perspective? Or what is the perspective that you assume in that VR world? So like Joseph mentioned earlier, this is one of the works in VR Chin. And it's actually multi-players. There are players or actors and actresses in the remote physical world, but there are also virtual world who are invisible characters in the virtual world. And also there's this little boy. It's about, the story is about the fears of the little boy when he was a child or when he was younger. I think this is a type of online RPG, so which involves multiple people to have this done and achieved. So the audience has always been a key element in the theaters. Thank you so much. I think it's time for us to proceed to the Q&A session. We have a question from the audience about your advice regarding how a creator can get into the platform of Metaverse. If I may ask Antoine to address the question, what's your advice? So if I would like to join everyone on the platform of Metaverse, what should be my first step? What is your advice? Over to you, Antoine.
Alors, as a content creator, if you want to create content or if you want to participate in a metaverse experience?
他是希望应该是进入
I think he would like to get into the content creation industry. What should be his first step?
Yes. So first, Metaverse is not yet something that exists per se. It's something that is currently getting built, and you can experience and create content on different platforms, which I call proto-metaverse. So it's not yet a full metaverse. There are some platforms that are completely proprietary. For example, Fortnite is one. And you have other ones that are open for, let's say, user-generated content. So you can create your own worlds and create your content there. Roblox is one good example of a proto-metaverse where you can easily create content because they can provide you with the tools to do that. But it's very limited in terms of storytelling and interaction. VR Chat is also a very good platform to be able to create and deploy your content. And then you need to know how to use a game engine, which is Unity. The last possibility is that you can email and contact us because we did build a platform which is agnostic to the game engine, so it works both on Unity and Unreal, and that allows the deployment of your content as just a link in a browser, so no need to install any application like VRChat or Roblox. This is the last option. I think that anyone should try. It's pretty easy now, and what the metaverse needs is that all the talents coming from the digital space and the physical space, they do their experiences, they learn how to craft those virtual worlds, because we need as much software engineers and 3D modelers as we need costume designer and lighting artists, stage directors. That's very important if we want to have interesting content in the metaverse.
谢谢安痛哦。那我们还是要把这一题。
Thank you very much, Antoine. I would like to actually ask Babu to answer this question as well. I know that you're probably not in the metaverse yet. I mean, for metaverse in the future, but maybe based on your experiences creating VR work, can you also shed light on this question? I think the nature of creation is the same no matter where you are or what universe you are creating for. So Metaverse is just another platform or format of, displaying your creation. So before I create anything, I would first ask myself, why would I want to create my work on this platform or in this universe? Sometimes it's because it's the market trend. Sometimes it's because this platform is just a great place for you to tell your story, or that your story is particularly fitting for an environment where everybody participates as an avatar. So we always need to come back to the work itself. Why do we want to publish this work in the metaverse? I want to follow up on this question. So Babu, when you first enter the world of VR, you definitely ran into some technical possibilities, right? These entry barriers. So what's your experience on these? What difficulties did you run into? How did you overcome these difficulties in terms of technology? I have a very good, excellent VR artist who's helping me. So sometimes I would present an idea or a concept. This VR artist will put it off. And last year, when we worked on my first project, we really worked through a lot of different versions, different concepts, and so the format was, the user would wear a headset, and we believe that this format is the most fitting for my work. So towards the end, I realized that the way I present my content is closely related to how headsets are used. So there's another question for Antoine. So Metaverse as a concept. I know that Antoine has mentioned that Metaverse is yet to be here. We only have proto-Metaverse right now. However, in the content industry, how do we bring the content industry to the Metaverse? Antoine, what's your take?
Okay, that's a very open question. I think it's gonna go little by little. I think that we are starting the first project, and this paves the way to other projects being made. And then I think that we need to, after those first, let's say, experimental projects, we need to give access to the content to as many people as possible. And this is possible if we go and get known IPs, so intellectual properties, like, I don't know, Marvel is a big IP that a lot of people will want to see. So gathering this IP and creating content into this universe is a good way to have a lot of people experiencing this content, wanting to experience this content. And I think that that's one way for the content industry to get inside of the metaverse as quickly as possible. I also think that there are some organizations, and I'm very proud to say that we couldn't be here today, and I couldn't present Bedlam if it wasn't for Taika, which is one of those organizations in the world that have this mission to help content creators, make their ideas become a reality. And I know that Taika knows a lot about Metaverse and can be helping a lot content creators to go the right path, so that this content industry can be created in this new format.
那还有一个观众有一个
There is one more question that's more technical. So the question is about creating that sense of immediacy or reality in a VR experience where there's a massive, online interaction. So maybe Antoine again first.
Alors, can you tell the question again?
就是多
So when we have a massive, interactive live event, how do we create the sense of reality for these spectators or participants?
Alors, we need. Alors, there is 2 points in the question. The first point is that this thing that I was talking about, which is the embodiment, that the brain gets tricked to believe that the virtual world is real and is physically real, that your body can really feel it. You need to follow some rules that have been very well defined by neuroscientists. For example, one of those rules is proprioception. It's the simple fact that when you move a certain way, the view in your VR headset should move the same way. And this is very important to be able to create this embodiment. It's also very important to have cues about your body inside of this virtual reality. So if you can have, like, let's say, half body mocap, already your hands, it helps a lot to feel that the virtual reality is a reality. If you can have your whole body, it's even better. And if your body reacts exactly the same way as it reacts in reality, if it moves the same way and so on, you will accept this virtual body as your body. And this is one of the cornerstone to be able to create an experience where the brain is tricked to believe that virtual reality is a reality. The other side of this question is that it doesn't require to create a world which is an exact representation of a physical space. I mean, what is very interesting with this is that you can create content which is outside of the boundaries of the physical world. Our first piece was a Lewis Carroll Alice in Wonderland story, and where clearly the world that you interact with is completely different. The rules inside of this world are different from the real world, and it is not an issue. So I'm sorry you lost my camera again, but I will continue to speak. That's the difficulties with technology. So you need to create this embodiment, which means that you need to be very realistic in the way you handle the body, but at the same time, you can create worlds which are completely crazy, where there is no gravity, where you can walk on the ceilings. All this is possible, and all this is a new territory to explore, because this is things that we can't do in real life. So 2 sides of the coin.
谢谢安痛哦。
Thank you very much, Antoine. I would also like to ask Babu to answer a similar question. That is, in your VR work and content, how do you deal with the presence and the embodiment issue? I think this is something that has puzzled me. So, in the theater, people talk about live interaction and being present in the theater. So in my VR work, this is something where a user is taken out of the reality, the real world, but at the same time, in this virtual world, they are probably also seeing the connection between this virtual world and the real world. So we don't want it to be just a fascinating journey, and at the end of the journey, there's nothing. It's just the end. So we want to incorporate themes that are relevant to the real world into this virtual reality world. So for example, when I talk about my first work, in this work, the main character actually fantasized about a utopian world of LGBT community. However, towards the end, they also see the distortion of his body, which embodies the reality in the real world. Another thing I would like to add here is creators nowadays are very anxious because there are so many jargons flying around. There's NFT, blockchain, Metaverse. For me, as a creator, the core is to come back, to revisit your original intention. What do you want to do? What are you trying to achieve? And technology is just a means for you to realize your vision. You can also question these technologies. Thank you, Babu. Because of the time constraints, I think we have to conclude this section now. But before we end, I would like to thank our 4 panelists again. Joanna, who has joined us with pre-recorded presentation. Her presentation has offered us a lot of insights, their experiences in HP, in working on projects that can that implements metaverse concept. Antoine has produced a lot of VR content and XR content and has provided us with a lot of insights on what's his take on the future development of VR and XR content. I would also like to thank Babu and Joseph for their experiences. They are looking at this from a content point of view. So once again, let's put our hands together and thank all of our panelists today. Thank you, Antoine, Joseph, and Babu. Thank you very much, and our section concludes here. Thank you again. This concludes our section today. We continue to have more sessions tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. We have more sections to our The Forum. So we would like to welcome you to join these forums online. I'll see you tomorrow.
谢谢语坛人跟主持人，谢谢。